fire refused to burn him. Bohemia, 1190. A land of sprawling forests, imposing castles, and simmering suspicion. The peace of the small village of Dolny Kunis was shattered when Agnes, the baker's wife, accused Dobromil, the blacksmith, of witchcraft. Agnes claimed her bread had soured, her milk curdled, and her hens ceased laying. All signs, she shrieked, of Dobromil's dark arts. In a time where superstition held more sway than reason, such accusations were not taken lightly. Dobromil, a burly man with soot-stained hands and a perpetually weary expression, vehemently denied the charges. But Agnes's accusations had struck a nerve. The villagers, already wary of Dobromil's solitary nature and knowledge of strange herbs used in his metalworking, began to whisper. The local priest, Father Clement, desperate to maintain order and appease the growing unrest, reluctantly agreed to a trial by fire, a ritualistic ordeal believed to reveal God's judgment. The pyre was built, the wood stacked high, and the air crackled with anticipation. As Dobromil was led to the stake, a faint, acrid smell hung in the air, something other than wood smoke, a detail easily missed amidst the hysteria, but perhaps a harbinger of the impossible events about to unfold. The flames roared to life, consuming the dry wood with a hungry ferocity. Dobromil, bound tightly, stood unflinching as the heat intensified. The crowd gasped, expecting to see him writhe and scream in agony. But he didn't. Minutes stretched into an eternity, and the flames danced around him, yet seemed to recoil from his skin. A collective murmur rippled through the crowd, turning to hushed whispers of awe and fear. Agnes, her face contorted with rage and disbelief, screamed that he was protected by dark magic. Father Clement, his face pale, looked on in stunned silence, unsure how to interpret what he was witnessing. Was this a sign of Dobromil's innocence, a divine intervention? Or was it something far more sinister? Suspicion began to shift, not away from Dobromil, but towards the very nature of the trial itself, that the devil somehow corrupted God's own judgment. The seed of doubt had been planted, and the whispers grew louder. Who truly controlled these flames? The ordeal was halted. Dobromil, remarkably unscathed, was unbound and led away, not as a convicted sorcerer, but as a man touched by some unknown force. But the story doesn't end with Dobromil's ambiguous salvation. A week later, old Marta, the village herbalist, was found dead in her cottage, a strange burn mark on her hand. The local constable, a gruff but observant man named Jan, noticed something peculiar. The burn resembled the distinct pattern of the blacksmith's tongs. Further investigation revealed Marta had been secretly supplying Dobromil with rare minerals, claiming they were for his metalworking. But Jan, remembering the strange smell from the trial, began to suspect a different purpose. He discovered a hidden chamber beneath Marta's cottage, filled with alchemical equipment and strange, oily substances. Among them, a large quantity of fire-resistant clay, the very same clay Dobromil used to line his furnace. Could the divine intervention have been a carefully orchestrated deception? Was Dobromil's innocence merely a clever trick, made possible by Marta's knowledge and a shared secret? Jan confronted Dobromil, presenting his evidence. Dobromil initially denied everything, but when Jan revealed the discovery of the fire-resistant clay, he cracked. He confessed to using the clay to coat his clothing and skin before the trial, a desperate attempt to to avoid a fiery death. He claimed Marta had taught him the technique, fearing Agnes's growing suspicion. But Dobromil vehemently denied harming Marta. He claimed she had died of natural causes, her burn a mere accident from her experiments. Jan, however, wasn't convinced. He noted the unusual precision of the burn on Marta's hand, as if deliberately inflicted with the tongs. He suspected Dobromil had silenced Marta to protect his secret, a secret that had initially saved him, but now threatened to condemn him. The stakes were raised. Dobromil was no longer facing charges of witchcraft, but now of murder. But the villagers had already turned on him, once again suspicious of the blacksmith, but now convinced of his guilt.